Hi everyone and welcome to Joe Reviews. One of the most common problems people have with their desk setup is managing all the cables. As you slowly start adding more items to your desk, there's another cable that you somehow must conceal, and before you know it, you have a mess of cables that can look unsightly. Over the years, I've tried my best to conceal the cables on top of my desk, while underneath was a different story. I'm pretty happy with how my desk looks like on top, but knew I'd eventually have to do something about the underneath portion. When I shared my desk setup last spring, there were a few comments about the cable management, or lack of, with my setup. I think they're fair critiques and something I wanted to improve upon for a while. So, in this video, I wanted to share my journey to cable tidiness nirvana and the tools I use to get there. My goal is to get my desk cables as neatly organized while not breaking the bank to achieve that. In fact, the most expensive piece in today's video is $60. Also, the products I use in today's video are compatible with most desk setups. Alright, let's get into it. First thing I did was unhook most of the cables from the power strip in the cable management tray under the desk. The cable management tray ends up usually being like a closet where stuff you don't want seen gets shoved into. So, with my setup, I needed a bigger closet. As you can see, I had this power strip that doesn't fit well in the tray. I needed something bigger to hold that, plus another power strip and all the cables needed. Search online for a cable tray and the options are endless. For me, I knew I needed something about twice as large as my current tray, but it had to fit in between my desk frame and the edge of my desk. This meant my options were somewhat limited. I found this cable tray from a company called Branch Furniture. It's 24 inches long and only about 4 inches wide, which fits under my desk perfectly. There were a few color options to choose from, but I thought this white option would match my desk well. I also liked that it had these holes I could use for zip ties and holes to run cables through. I would have preferred to find an even longer tray, but this one worked. This tray was designed to work with desks from Branch Furniture and came with screws to attach to the frame of one of their desks. Due to this, I had to get some wood screws and then line it up to attach to my desk. I used my filing cabinet to hold the tray and then lowered the desk until it was pressed against the tray. This worked out well. I marked where I needed to drill my holes and then drilled, being extra cautious not to poke a hole through the top of the desk. Then I lined up the tray again and attached the screws. This part was tricky as the design of the tray makes it difficult to screw in the screws. I ended up using a small screwdriver and an offset screwdriver to finish it. It ended up working just fine. I attached the tray so the opening was facing the rear of the desk. This works for my setup as my desk is against a wall, so the open side won't be visible. This will make for a cleaner look under the desk. Next, I moved the PS5 from the top of my desk to underneath it. A couple of reasons for this. One, it takes up too much space on top of my desk, even in the vertical position. And number two, I just don't game as much as I used to. I used to game a couple times a week. Now I haven't done it once in the last 5 months. I like playing, but lately I just haven't had the time to enjoy it. I don't want to sell it or remove it from the desk, as I'd like to play again in the near future when hopefully I have some time to enjoy it. So for now, I'm going to mount it underneath the desk. To do this, I'm using these mounting brackets I found on Amazon. Everything I use today is linked below. These brackets had really positive reviews, so I decided to try it out. It was really easy to install. It came with this template that I attached to the bottom side of my desk. Then I drilled some starter holes and lined up the brackets with the holes. Then I attached the brackets to the desk with screws and set the PS5 inside the brackets. There's another screw that goes from the bracket to the hole on the PS5 where the base is usually attached. This helps keep it secure in the brackets. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It opened up some space on top of my desk, and I think it makes it look a lot cleaner. Next thing I did was assemble a new monitor stand I got to replace my old one. The old one, while it worked great, didn't do the best at concealing cables. This new one, also from Vivo like my old stand, has room inside the arms that can hide the cables. Plus, this mount has a pneumatic arm, which makes adjusting the screen much easier than my old mount. For $60, it seems really well built with a rock-solid construction. Assembly took less than 10 minutes. Before I attached my monitor to the new mount, I swapped out the lights on the back of it. The old lights still worked, but I wanted some that were Apple Home compatible, which would eliminate the need for a smart plug, which takes up a lot of space on a power strip. These lights are from Govee and are Matter compatible, which is great as it works with basically any smart home system of your choosing. The adhesive on the back of the Govee lights provides a strong hold, especially when compared to my old lights. I trimmed off the excess lights so it would fit behind my monitor. Then I attached the control box to the backside of the monitor. After this, I installed the monitor to the arm. Had to make a couple adjustments to the spring so the monitor wouldn't just fall down and hit the desk. After I had the stand adjusted, I plugged in the rear monitor lights and set those up in the app. Then I attached the light bar to the top of the monitor. After that, I plugged in the HDMI cables and the monitor power cable into the back of the monitor. Now with all my cables hanging out, I could better see how I was going to run them behind the monitor. I was a little worried they wouldn't all fit inside the monitor arms. The top arm had quite a bit of room to fit all the cables into. The cover easily snaps into place. The bottom arm, however, was pretty tight. I was barely able to get the cover to snap into position over the cables. Then at the base of the monitor stand is another clip that I ran the cables into. Overall, I think this monitor stand does a better job at concealing the cables than my old stand, plus has the added benefit of being easier to adjust up and down. Also, with the new monitor lights, I was able to get rid of a smart plug, plus these ones are much brighter than my old lights. I'm really happy with both these upgrades, and price-wise, it was very reasonable. The monitor stand goes for $60, while similar stands can cost well north of $100. The lights retail for $60, but I've seen them on sale quite a bit. After running the cables through the monitor stand, I set up this magnetic Vertebrae cable management kit from Vivo, another product from them. Great thing about this is that if you have multiple cables running down from your desk, you can hide them in this spine. It's perfect for stand-up desks, as you always need some cable slack for when you want to move the desk from sitting to standing position. The spine is able to move with the desk, extending and folding when needed. As mentioned, this one is magnetic, otherwise there's an option for one that will screw into the bottom of your desk. The magnetic hold isn't super strong, but holds well enough that it hasn't fallen down. There are magnets at the top of the spine and also along the side. I have two power strips that I'm putting into the cable tray. I'll run both their cables through the spine to the outlet. Both power strip cables are really thick and they barely fit in the spine, but it worked. The spine is made of plastic, so it's fairly light and very pliable for putting cables in it. I ran the cables through the spine and had them exit right by the outlet. Overall, the spine works well. It moved up and down nicely with the desk and provides a cleaner look. After I had the spine attached, I put together a stand for my Sonos Ace headphones. This stand is also from Sonos, and what I like about it is that it can conceal a charging cable for the headphones. Since I moved the PS5 to the underside of the desk, this freed up some room for the stand. I really like the simple design of the headphone stand, and I think it pairs nicely with the rest of the accessories on my desk. The next thing I did was work out how to conceal some of the mess that was already under my desk. My headphones that I use with my PS5 are on a hook underneath, and they have a long cable that just hangs there. I decided that since I haven't used them in months and won't use them for the foreseeable future, I'll just disconnect them for now and keep them in my filing cabinet next to the desk. If I do end up playing regularly again, I'll probably just upgrade to some wireless headphones so that I won't have to deal with the cables. Then I worked on running the power cable and HDMI cable from the PS5 to the cable tray. To do this, I'm using some pieces from this large cable management kit I got on Amazon. It comes with a number of pieces that helps conceal cables from sleeves, clips, cord holders, zip ties, and more. I'm going to start off by putting the HDMI cable and power cable in the sleeve. This allows for a better look. Instead of having two cables, it's basically just one. The sleeve works great as I can just cut it down to the length that I need, and it automatically wraps around the cables. I use these zip tie clips with an adhesive back to run the sleeve back to the cable tray. The adhesive seems to have a pretty strong hold, which I was nervous the clips would hold for a couple days and start falling off. Key thing is to clean the surface first where you'll be applying these clips and make sure to dry off. I've noticed a difference in how well they stick when not skipping this step. After I had the PS5 cables ran to the back, I worked on better concealing the cable for the control for the desk. Previously, the cable was just wrapped up and attached to the underside of the desk. I unwrapped it and ran hooks along the edge of the frame of the desk. I ran the cable through those hooks, and the rest of the cable I folded up and set inside the frame. I used a self-adhesive cable tie and twist tie to keep the cable folded up. I also used the same self-adhesive cable tie for keeping some of the cables folded up in the cable tray. Then I used this other cable clip and put it on the back side of the desk for my mic cable. Since I only needed this cable every now and then when doing voiceover work, it's a great way to keep it within reach but not have it hanging around the back side of the desk or on top of the desk. The mic cable easily slides through it when I need it, or I can take it out of the clip completely and set it back in when finished. This type of clip is also great for chargers or other cables for your computer. There are a lot more cable clips than I need with this kit, but it's nice to have extras for changes down the road. As you can see, underneath the desk looks a lot cleaner now. You can see minimum cables, and the tray hides most of the mess. While looking at the rear of the desk, it's still a mess inside the cable tray. With varying thicknesses of the cables, it can be tough to get them all to lay neatly in the tray. However, since the opening is toward the wall and no one can see it, I'm happy with letting it be. One thing I could have done to make it a bit neater on top is add a docking station for my MacBook Pro. This way, I wouldn't have the power cable and HDMI cable running to the laptop. I could just have one cable from the docking station to my computer and the rest of the cables hidden underneath. However, I couldn't find a reasonably priced docking station with HDMI and USB-C ports. The ones I could find were several $100s, and I didn't think it was worth spending that kind of money on it. If you know of any docking stations for MacBooks, let me know in the comments. In the end, I think Operation Cable Tidiness was a success. I'm happy with how well the cables are hidden, yet still accessible if I need something. Really, the most important pieces for hiding desk cables are a good-sized cable tray, plenty of adhesive clips for running cables, a cable spine for stand-up desks, and a plan before starting. But what do you guys think? Is there anything you would have done differently with this setup? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, please subscribe, and I'll catch you for the next video.